land of captivity, where the bones of the Negroes can be found scattered throughout the land. During the time of the Pharaohs, and based on the manner in which they were buried, we know that they served in Egypt as slaves. And who was it that served as slaves in Egypt? That's right, family. It was Yisrael. So now, on to our fifth proof. And for our fifth proof, we will return to the land of Yisrael. And we visit Judah's royal city of Lachish, where in 701 BC, King Sennacherib led his massive army against Judah's fortified city of Lachish. After King Sennacherib conquered the city of Lachish, a stone monument was made to commemorate the defeat of this city of Judah. And on this stone relief, we find depictions of what occurred on that fateful day. We can see Assyrians taking loot from the royal city, carrying away various artifacts for reward. We also find detailed depictions of the chosen, set-apart people of Judah. And when we look close, we find the face of the Negro. The city of Lachish also contained a mass gravesite in which excavators recovered roughly 695 skulls. This leads us to our sixth proof, the skulls of Judah in the royal city. As the following reference reads, and it reads, the very first report on the Lachish skulls included a thorough examination of pathology, metrics, artificial deformation, and epigenetic affinity. Utilizing craniometrics, Risden in 1939 concluded that the group was very similar to dynastic Egyptian material. In fact, he stated that the entire population was of foreign origin, representing descendants of a group derived primarily from Upper Egypt. This conclusion was subsequently supported by a craniometric study by Musgrave and Evans in 1981. Keita in 1988 likewise examined the skulls metrically, omitting those that were either artificially deformed, female, warped, split, or juvenile, using only those measurements that he believed were consistent population discriminators. He concluded that the group was fairly heterogeneous, having close relationships to North African, Egyptian, and Nubian groups, thus lending support to the Egypto-Nubian presence. Researchers go on to suggest that these Nubians weren't Egyptian foreigners at all. They suggested that they were native to the region. Our next proof involves the Judean city, Masada. Attacked by Rome after 70 AD. And after sacking the city of Jerusalem, Rome advanced to Masada. And as they advanced, some Druze decided to take their own lives instead of dying by the hands of the Romans. Excavations at Masada revealed the remains of the people of Judah. For example, located on the lower terrace in the northern palace of Masada, archaeologists discovered the remains of 3 bodies close together. As the following reference reads, and it reads, one of the bodies, Yadin said, was that of a man of about 20, perhaps one of the commanders of Masada. Next to him were armor scales, dozens of arrows, an inscribed potsherd, and fragments of a prayer shawl. Nearby on a plaster floor stained with what looked like blood was the skeleton of a young woman. Her hair was still preserved, beautifully plaited or braided as if it had just been freshly coifed. Her sandals also were preserved next to her body. The third body, Yadin said, was that of a child. The woman's hair didn't just consist of braids. It included the scalp, which contained locks, which is characteristic of the Negro hair. As the following reference reads, and it reads, this hair was subsequently taken to the Forensic Science Division of the Israel National Police for analysis. Skipping ahead, the forensic analysis revealed the braid plaits of the hair had been severed by a sharp instrument. Further, the length of the hair and the curvature formed by the proximal ends of the plaits indicates that they were severed close to the scalp. The cut ends of some tresses exhibited a step-like pattern. The random pattern of the cut locks and the steps are consistent with erratic movement of the head in relation to the cutting instrument. In other words, the head was probably in motion while the hair was being sheared. What could account for the presence in the northern palace of an entire head of hair shorn from a woman? In addition to the braids and the locks found at Masada, the skeletons found at the site matched skeletons found at the Hever Valley site. And the Hever Valley site was said to contain skeletons of the Druze. As the following reference reads, and it reads, the skeleton type is identical with that discovered in the caves of the Hever Valley. And it continues, and it reads, the archaeological findings led to the conclusion that these skeletons, as well as the skeletons found by Aharonai in 1954 in the Nahal Hever Cave, and probably those found by Aharonai and Yadin in later expeditions to the Judean desert, are all remains of Jewish refugees from the War of Bar Kokhba against the Romans. The land of Israel was divided among each of the 12 tribes, with the tribe of Judah settling the land to the south. It is within the territory of the tribe of Judah we find the city of Lachish, which means the Druze depicted in the Lachish relief are specifically the tribe of Judah.